Talking about the 350 students or illegal immigrant children that were sent to the state of South Carolina, I know the federal government kind of dropped them in, and Governor Nikki Haley was fairly adamant that they tell her where they went, and I don't know that that information's been released, but it does bring to mind that recently the federal government came out and said, these students must be enrolled in public education, they have to be enrolled. So what are your thoughts? These kids are illegally here in the country. They either don't have parents here, or the parents that are here are also here illegally. Do you believe the public schools should, one, be required to take them? And two, if they are required to take them, should we set up a system of maybe tuition so that their parents have to pay for their education since they haven't paid into the tax system that supports public education?
Yeah, no, I don't think that they should be educated here. I know it sounds heartless to some people, but you can't, we're not going to solve the problem of people sending 8 and 9 and 10-year-old children through the Mexican desert in the middle of the summertime until folks stop spending money in Central America and South America to send their kids here. That's not going to happen until we start sending these children and these folks home. We have to fix the problem, and part of the problem is discouraging these people who live in these oppressed areas from gambling with their children's lives to sending them here. We need to prove to them that there's no payoff there, that there's no return on that investment, and they can stop doing it. You cannot simply say, okay, yeah, we're going to take these kids in, but we're going to stop them in the future. No one believes that. I know it sounds harsh, and I know it sounds to a certain extent heartless, but you have to solve the problems. And the only way you're going to solve the problem for everybody is to solve it for these most recent kids who came in. So, yeah, I don't think it's right to force. By the way, we did ask I saw that Nikki had asked the federal government where Governor Haley had asked the federal government where these kids were going, and she wasn't able to find out. We actually led a delegation letter that asked the same thing. Got it here someplace on my desk. The response I got, which is essentially, number one, it's none of your business, Congressman, and number two, we don't collect the information you have asked for. Some of the information. Some of the information I asked for, by the way, because there's an issue of where these children are going, and I think that's a valid, practical question. There's also a moral question. Who are they going with? Because we hear this thing about parents and sponsors. Well, one of my questions is, well, who's their sponsor? And we don't know. We're evidently not vetting, we're not investigating people who claim to be sponsors of these children. Where's the morality in that? Possibly shipping these children off into who knows what type of circumstances. So it's a disaster at many, many levels. And the best way to fix it is to stop doing it.
Yeah, in talking about stopping it, I think it's interesting if you look at part of the reason why the illegals come here is because they want the opportunities, the job, the housing, the benefits, whatever. So I wonder if we can't increase the penalties or the fines that some of these employers that we know are enticing illegal cheap labor to come to the United States. Is that not an approach that we can take?
Oh, it absolutely is. And it was part of the discussions that we were having before this. And I'm sorry, I meant to say a while back that the discussions broke down, and discussions that we were having, conservatives, centrists, Democrats, about immigration simply broke down when the situation in the southwestern border deteriorated. And rightly so, you cannot have a conversation about fixing immigration if the president's not going to enforce the border. And now I'm sorry, I forgot your question.
Well, I just asked you if you thought increasing the penalties or the fines for employers and companies.
One of the things we're talking about was bolstering the E-Verify program. And I know there's folks in my own party who don't want to put the burden on small business to sort of do the job of the federal government, and I get that argument, no question. But I will tell you, as a former business owner myself, I wanted to know if the people I was hiring were citizens. I wanted to do the right thing. And while E-Verify has been sort of offered right now as a way to answer that question, is actually not the case. The tool is not the remedy that we want it to be. So we were talking about bolstering the E-Verify program to what actually could be a valuable tool so that employers who want to hire citizens could have comfort that they're hiring citizens, and then also help us justify raising the penalties on folks who still hire the illegal immigrants, because now we make it really easy for you to find